What's that coming over the hill? Is it a hopper? Is it a hopper? What's that coming over the hill? Is it Kevin Spacey? Is it Kevin Spacey? What's that coming over the hill? Is it Kevin Spacey? Is it Kevin Spacey? Bog Entertainment, back with another movie review. And I actually enjoy A Bug's Life, but I was doing a wee bit of research there into the cast, and I just saw Kevin Spacey's coupon staring back at me. Hopper, what you doing, pal? I mean, that changes the whole complex and perspective of this movie. I mean, I went for that's a good wee movie. To holy fuck, that grasshopper's a nonce that touches kids. That's pretty. That is pretty damn scary, son, if you ask me. But interestingly enough, guys, A Bug's Life actually drew 366 million at the box office, which is quite, impressive. But in terms of the actual movie, we follow the main character, known as Flik. And it's weird because this comes out like, a very similar time to Ants. And I just feel like this is done better than Ants. I feel like with Ants, it's just far too serious. I mean, as much, you've got, people who are in Ants who are good. I mean, you've Sylvester Stallone. You've also a nonce in that in that movie as well, because you've got Woody Allen. But, as much I like Sylvester Stallone, I'm not saying he can't, do comedy, because he's very funny, and, he has done comedy stuff. But, again, I think just Ants in general is too serious, but you get whatever way you can like doing. But basically, the plot of this movie is we follow Flik, an ant who comes up with all these new inventions, but at the same time, he's basically looked at as the Joker of the group. The retard of the group, shall I say, because all the inventions come back to bite him in the arse. Which, of course, well, say bite him in the arse. The entire community, because they spend all summer long picking all these fruits, berries, seeds, blah, 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 to give the grasshoppers, which are led by Hopper, of course. But of course, his idea goes terribly, because as we what's he even getting? Like, it's like the food. His food cropping idea basically makes the entire rock fall. The leaves that were stocked to the top with food for the grasshoppers falls off a cliff and into the water, never to be seen again. And Hopper basically demands action in this, and Flik is essentially kicked out of the group to go and find fighters that are going to help fight against the grasshoppers. Again, what is this? It's weird. It's a kids' movie, like, realistically. Like, I mean, I was going to say this is real life. You don't get talking ants, you don't get talking grasshoppers, etc. But you never really get a fight. You get like a chase scene and like a bird that comes in, which I thought was all good stuff, but you never really get a scene like, like Flik tries to step up the Hopper here, but his arse collapsed, but like an hour later in the movie, he does stand up to him, which I did like. But also a weird thing, Ants did come out in the same year. That's very weird that these two movies come out in the same year, but this is, of course, Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, over me. Down. I mean, $363 million at the box office is pretty insane. But Flik, he travels to the city in search of some help, and he finds this like circus event, but he seems to think they're fighters, and under this illusion he ends up taking them because they were getting themselves into deep trouble with a couple of dung beetles or flies, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, they bottle that and basically agree to Flik's plan. So they come back and everyone's loving life because, oh, we're going to be able to fend off the grasshoppers because we brought the fighters back. But then over time, the circus people are like, hold on here, we're not fighting grasshoppers, we're fucking pissed. We did have a run-in with a bird that was pretty cool, and then due to this problems, the circus people basically say, right, we'll work together with ye's. Blah blah blah. They start building all these traps for the grasshoppers. Basically, the main trap is just a fake bird that can be controlled from within the inside, which led to a really good scene later on in the movie when like Hopper and the crew come back, and his plan is to kill the queen, step on the queen, but the Princess Atta's like, no, you're no stepping on my queen, you prick. Mama, you're no stepping on her. Hopper, he's like, well, I prefer the little boys anyway, Atta. And he turns his head, he looks at Flik. Oh, give me a hell yeah, brother. Down, 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 down. Anyway, my wee sing along is over. Because then we get the chase scene, and Hopper, of course, he's seen the fake bird burn, so he's like, is this another fake bird? But it turns out this bird is very real after he has the chase scene with Flik, and Flik knows this bird's real, which was his plan all along. Hopper thinks it's fake. The bird ends up picking him up, throwing it into its nest, and Hopper basically gets devoured by a big bird and its three children, its three chicks. But we're not talking about that. Kevin Spacey, a dickhead, so Hopper gets a brutal death, but at the end of the day, Kevin Spacey is a sexual predator slash pedo, so at the end of the day, Hopper can have that death. Some would probably say that would be suitable for one Kev, but again, this movie, it's a nice wee kids movie. It's a nice wee watch. It's something like, I mean, there is dialogue, you know, that is like adult orientated, which I like. I like that stuff in kids films, like when you grow up and you're like, haha, but I'd never seen this before, so I guess that element kind of didn't really work, guys. But anyway, I'm going to rate this movie a 7 out of 10. It's very good, it's very funny, and it gets the job done. It's not too long. I think that's the problem with some movies nowadays, or just movies in general, especially now. I think some of them are just far too fucking long. Like, see, unless you love a movie, you do not want to sit down for like 2 hours 20. You don't. 2.5 hours. You don't. You really don't. Unless it's like a fucking epic franchise or something. But anyway, till next time. Peace. 7 out of 10.